This is an insurmountable pile of evidence against Donald Trump that forces me to believe that this guy did it. Happy birthday, Jeffrey Epstein, and may every day be another wonderful secret. Does that sound like a birthday message that you may have written in a card to one of your friends in years past? I think not. It is, however, what Donald Trump allegedly wrote to Jeffrey Epstein in a birthday message in 2003 that the Wall Street Journal, the conservative Fox News aligned Wall Street Journal, the conservative Rupert Murdoch owned Wall Street Journal is now reporting. Get a load of this headline. Jeffrey Epstein's friends sent him body letters for a 50th birthday album. One was from Donald Trump. The leather-bound book was compiled by Ghislaine Maxwell. The president says the letter is a fake thing. Everything's fake. Everything's fake except for all of the many receipts that I'm getting ready to show you, separate and apart from this new, Wall Street Journal article. So the paper is reporting based on evidence they've seen. It's not just them taking a shot in the dark or some unnamed source. That back in 2003, Ghislaine Maxwell, we'll just call her Ghislaine because Ghislaine seems weird. Maxwell, the associate, the convicted associate of Jeffrey Epstein, gathered letters from a bunch of friends of his to include in a leather-bound birthday gift for his 50th birthday. And in it, one of these letters was Donald Trump. This is where the article doesn't start, but I'll put a link to it below. They're pretty stringent with their paywall. So if there's a link, if there's a way to do a gift link, I'll do that. That it'll only be for a few people, but if you get there early enough, you can get to it. Pages from the leather-bound album, assembled before Epstein was first arrested in 2006, are among the documents examined by the Justice Department officials who investigated Epstein and Maxwell years ago, according to people who have reviewed the pages. It's unclear if any of the pages are part of the Trump administration's recent review. The letter bearing Trump's name, which was reviewed by the Journal, so they've seen the letter. It's not a hoax. It's not a fraud, Donald Trump. They've seen it. The letter bearing Trump's name, which was reviewed by the Journal, is bawdy like the others in the album. It contains several lines of typewritten text framed by the outline of a naked woman, which appears to be hand-drawn with a heavy marker. Heavy marker, like Donald Trump signing his goofy signature. A pair of small arcs denotes the woman's breasts, and the future president's signature is a squiggly Donald below her waist, mimicking pubic hair. The letter concludes, "Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret." Again, I've never written to anyone about may every day be another wonderful secret. To anybody, but certainly, and I don't have any friends that are notorious pedophiles like Donald Trump has. This smacks of guilt, does it not? In an interview with the Journal on Tuesday evening, Trump declined writing the letter or drawing the picture. "This is not me. This is a fake thing. It's a fake Wall Street Journal story," he said. "I never wrote a picture in my life. I don't draw pictures of women," he said. "It's not my language. It's not my words." He told the Journal he was preparing to file a lawsuit if it published an article. "I'm going to sue the Wall Street Journal just like I sued everyone else," he said. "So I don't draw," he says. He didn't just tell them that. He took to Truth Social and said the same thing in this post at 9:57 p.m. Eastern Time last night. The Wall Street Journal printed a fake letter, supposedly to Epstein. These are not my words, not the way I talk. Also, I don't draw pictures. Remember that, because again, we got receipts. I don't draw pictures. I told Rupert Murdoch it was a scam with a capital S, so you know it's a real big scam. That he shouldn't print this fake story with 2 capital letters. Woo-wee! Trump's serious. But he did, and now I'm going to sue his ass off. And that of his third-rate newspaper. Thank you. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I'm sure you're very thankful for my attention to this matter, Donald Trump. Because, you know, it doesn't take a bunch of research to go searching for Donald Trump doodles and Donald Trump drawings to find this headline from the Washington Post in 2019. So 6 years ago, April 23rd, 2019. A sketch Donald Trump made of the Manhattan skyline is up for auction. And you can see it here in the headline. Here's the image. The little image placard says, it's Donald Trump, you're fired, doodle for hunger, Capuchin food pantry. So you don't draw Donald Trump? You don't? And look, some of you, there might be some trolls in the audience that would say, well, that's the Washington Post. That's obviously fake news. There's no way Donald Trump has indicated that he draws or doodles other places, right? There's no way. Unless you go to this particular page in his 2010 book, Never Give Up. Actually, it's not 2010. Just looked it up. It's actually 2008. So even closer in proximity of time to the sketches drawn in the Epstein thing. But here's what he wrote in the 2008 book, Never Give Up. Sometimes being a giver will open you up to new talents. Each year, I donate an autographed doodle to the Doodle for Hunger auction at the Tavern on the Green. It takes me a few minutes to draw something. In my case, it's usually a building or a cityscape of skyscrapers. And then I sign my name. Yeah, you're dead to rights, Donald. We know. And the fortunate thing here is that MAGA world is finally maybe starting to pay attention to your character, who you are. Because up to this point, they've ignored all of the red flags, all of the glaring sirens blaring into the evening of your predilections. How many times have we heard Donald Trump talk about wanting to his daughter Ivanka? And I'm being crass because it's crass. When Donald Trump says, oh, perhaps I'd be dating her if Ivanka wasn't my daughter, he doesn't mean dating. We know what he means by that. We're all adults. We can speak like adults. He means having sex with. He doesn't mean going out to the soda fountain and having a banana split. He doesn't mean an ice cream date. We know what he means when he says it. Here is a compilation from CNN a few years ago about just how disgusting he has been about his own daughter, whom he lusts over.
Yet at times, his fatherly praise is downright cringeworthy, like on The View in 2006.
I said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know?
Stop it! Oh, it's so weird. Stop. You know what? You are sick.
Far from protecting his daughter from being talked about as a sex object, he has encouraged it multiple times. On Howard Stern's radio show in 2004 and then again in 2006.
By the way, your daughter,
she's beautiful.
Can I say this? A piece of ass.
Yeah.
She looks more voluptuous than ever.
She's actually always been very voluptuous. She's tall. She's almost 6 feet tall.
In May, Ivanka described herself as a feminist while defending her father on CBS after a scathing New York Times article about his alleged negative treatment of women.
Is there unending commentary on the female form? No. I've known my father, obviously, my whole life, and he has total respect for women.
Please welcome the lovely Ivanka Trump.
Still, even Ivanka seemed confused when talk show host Wendy Williams asked about things the two have in common.
What's the favorite thing you have in common with your father?
Either real estate or golf.
Donald, with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that.
Donald Trump has always been proud of his daughter.
I'd call collect to his office. I was probably, 10 years old. He would pick up the phone every single time, and he'd put me on speakerphone. It wouldn't be a long conversation. He'd introduce me to whoever was in his office.
And he was front row when Ivanka took to the catwalk during her short-lived career as a fashion model. Still, Donald Trump repeatedly points out how hot his daughter is, saying last year in a Rolling Stone article, "Yeah, she's really something, and what a beauty, that one. If I weren't happily married and, her father."
My daughter, Ivanka.
Yeah.
She's 6 feet tall. She's got the best body.
Yeah, she's hot.
And it's not just Ivanka, as disgusting as all of that was. First of all, imagine if you have a child. I have a daughter. Imagine if you have a kid and you talk about them like that to a shock jock, to the ladies on The View, to Wendy Williams. It's not normal. It's not locker room talk when you're talking about incest with your child. And it doesn't just stop at Ivanka. Tiffany Trump, his youngest daughter, has been in the crosshairs of this. And when she was even more defenseless than Ivanka was. Here is Donald Trump with number one, number two, his number two wife out of three. Or is it four? Hard to keep track. Here he is talking about little Tiffany when asked by Robin Leach whether what features of Marla Maples that she had. And of course, he goes straight to, well, we're going to find out. Soon we're going to find out whether she has tits like Marla Maples.
Back in 1994, host Robin Leach asked about their daughter Tiffany, who was then just a year old.
Now, Donna, what does Tiffany have of yours and what does Tiffany have of Marla's?
Well, I think that she's got a lot of moral, and she's really a beautiful baby, and she's got Marla's legs. We don't know whether or not she's got this part yet, but time will tell.
So look, at some point, MAGA world, if they have their eyes open and they're actually witnessing what is the road that lies before them here, at some point they're going to have to wake up and realize that all of these things, each thing in isolation is enough, but when you compile them all together, this is an insurmountable pile of evidence against Donald Trump that forces me to believe that this guy did it.
Next year will be our last season. The network will be ending The Late Show in May. And
I don't know how many times I've talked about corporate media, the mainstream media, missing the moment, continuing to miss the moment. You would think that when a fascist was elected to office, that they would snap to and push back for not only the selfish salvation of themselves, to be in the fight, to preserve their own right under the First Amendment, but also to do the job they are entrusted to do, protecting the rest of us, saving the Republic from the wettest, wildest dreams of a fascist. And they're continuing to fail on a daily basis. Yesterday, Stephen Colbert began his show talking about that it's going to be over for him in 10 months. CBS is firing Stephen Colbert and ending the show, The Late Show, that used to be hosted by David Letterman for decades. They're ending this time-honored, beloved institution. And it only comes 3 days after Stephen Colbert criticized their settlement with Donald Trump, their blackmail, their extortion, that they bent the knee, kissed the ring, and now he's out of a job. First, let's start with him announcing his dismissal, his removal, and then we'll move on to what he said just 3 days ago.
Before we start the show, I want to let you know something that I found out just last night. Next year will be our last season. The network will be ending The Late Show in May. And yeah, I share your feelings. It's not just the end of our show, but it's the end of The Late Show on CBS. I'm not being replaced. This is all just going away. And I do want to say that the folks at CBS have been great partners. I'm so grateful to the Tiffany Network for giving me this chair and this beautiful theater to call home. And of course, I'm grateful to you, the audience, who have joined us. Every night, in here, out there, all around the world, Mr. and Mrs. America and all the ships at sea. I'm grateful to share the stage with this band, these artists over here every night. And I am extraordinarily, deeply grateful to the 200 people who work here. We get to do this show. We get to do this show for each other every day, all day. And I've had the pleasure and the responsibility of sharing what we do every day with you in front of this camera for the last 10 years. And let me tell you, it is a fantastic job. I wish somebody else was getting it. And it's a job that I'm looking forward to doing with this usual gang of idiots for another 10 months. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Y'all ready?
We're going to lock in.
Y'all ready?
Let's go.
Y'all ready? Okay. That's all I wanted to say.
And many would ask, what could have caused this? What thing did he say? Let me say this: CBS is saying, "Oh no, this is budgetary. The finances around late night shows aren't good like they used to be." Yeah, that's right. That's why every other late night show is just doing gangbusters. Even Jimmy Fallon's show, not a fan of it. Even that show is riding high. Stephen Colbert, he inhabits rare air in our culture, in our society. Fearless, truth speaker, funny man. This is punishment. This is retribution against him speaking his mind about a terrible decision made by his parent company, exerting his First Amendment right under the Constitution of the United States. In a moment where we need voices like his. This is what he said. What you just watched took place on the 17th. What I'm getting ready to play for you happened on the 14th. He had just come back. I'm going to give you a little context because some of it might not make sense. He had just gotten back from a vacation where he spent some time in Turkey. He grew out a mustache. He's making mustache jokes. And that's where he starts talking about the settlement that his parent company, Paramount, just made with Donald Trump, bending the knee in acquiescence to the dear leader.
And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, my mustache comes to you with a heavy heart because while I was on vacation, my parent corporation, Paramount, paid Donald Trump a $16 million settlement over his 60 Minutes lawsuit. As someone who has always been a proud employee of this network, I am offended. And I don't know if anything will ever repair my trust in this company. But just taking a stab at it, I'd say $16 million would help. This settlement is for a nuisance lawsuit Trump filed claiming that 60 Minutes deceptively edited their interview with then-candidate Kamala Harris last fall. Paramount knows they could have easily fought it because, in their own words, the lawsuit was completely without merit. And keep in mind, Paramount produced Transformers: Rise of the Beast. They know completely without merit. Now, unlike the payoffs from ABC and Twitter, Paramount's settlement did not include an apology. Instead, that's good. Instead, the corporation released a statement where they said, "You may take our money, but you will never take our dignity. You may, however, purchase our dignity for the low, low price of $16 million. We need the cash." Now, I believe... What can I say? What can I say? Mr. Stephen loves to dance. Now, I believe this kind of complicated financial settlement with a sitting government official has a technical name in legal circles. It's big fat bribe. Because this all comes as Paramount's owners are trying to get the Trump administration to approve the sale of our network to a new owner, Skydance. Not the music I was expecting? Okay. That was me dancing in the sky. And some of the TV typers out there are blogging that once Skydance gets CBS, the new owner's desire to please Trump could put pressure on late-night host and frequent Trump critic Stephen Colbert. Okay. But how are they going to put pressure on Stephen Colbert if they can't find him? And even if they do, Mr. Stephen always has his scented oil business to fall back on.
Going to put pressure on Stephen Colbert up to and including firing him, ending an American institution. Every single moment like this is one tick in the win column for team fascism. Donald Trump browbeating ABC and then bending the knee and settling with Donald Trump to $15-16 million. CBS doing the same thing. 60 Minutes, their executive producer quitting. John Dickerson coming out and speaking out about it. Pelly talking about it. This is a problem. This spells bad things for the United States. It spells bad things for people who don't feel protected by the First Amendment, who don't feel that the Constitution is strong enough, is sturdy enough to maintain, to hold during Donald Trump's administration. It makes you wonder what more we need to do, you and I, when corporate media with billions and billions of dollars and power and influence and reach, when they cower and it's left to us, what are we going to do? And that's where I'll leave you. That's the question I'm asking. Stephen Colbert will land on his feet. Sir, I hope you do. I hope you stick it to CBS. I hope you find another network. This baffles me.
Andrew, with so many issues going on in the world, I'm a little bit surprised you would ask such a question, although I'm not. Sometimes coming from you, I will say.
Karoline Leavitt, look, I'm not sympathetic to her, but Karoline Leavitt on a daily basis, her job is getting more and more and more impossible. Not difficult, impossible. And it is glorious to watch. It is chef's kiss. It is so good to watch Karoline Leavitt struggle, to watch her do the 50-yard stare, the 100-yard stare, just staring off into space with whatever that sad song that plays when people make memes about it. Hello, darkness, my old friend. It's like, hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk. And yesterday during the press briefing, there's two questions she was asked that I want to get into. One is this bizarre story that Donald Trump went off on a jag during his trip to Pennsylvania, telling just absolute fabricated lies about a conversation he had with his uncle about the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski, being a former student. The problem lies in the fact that the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski, didn't go to MIT where Donald Trump's uncle Dr. John Trump, Dr. Uncle John Dr. Trump, or whatever he refers to him as, maybe I'll play that clip later. He's indicating that he talked to his uncle about the kind of student that he was, and that his uncle replied that he was such a good student, he used to correct other people, go around telling people how they were wrong, because in his mind, that's what a good student does, I guess, is just a know-it-all neckbeard. I don't know. Anyway, there was this moment where a reporter asks the question about it, and her answer is not an answer to the question. It's not an answer to the thing anybody wants to know, but it got the reporter off her back for 5 seconds. So watch this, and then we'll talk about it.
Andrew, go ahead.
So on Tuesday, the president told a very detailed story about his uncle, noted scientist John Trump, and Theodore Kaczynski, the late Unabomber. He said that Dr. Trump taught Ted Kaczynski. Ted Kaczynski was not identified as the Unabomber until 1996, 11 years after John Trump passed away. It would have been impossible for John Trump to have ever discussed the Unabomber with the president. So what was he talking about? And I have one follow-up.
Andrew, with so many issues going on in the world, I'm a little bit surprised you would ask such a question, although I'm not sometimes coming from you, I will say, but I'm willing to give you an answer. Nevertheless, the president's uncle did, in fact, teach at MIT. He was a very intelligent professor. The president's very proud of his family. In fact, the president has a letter from his uncle on the MIT letterhead that sits in the Oval Office dining room. Maybe we'll let you see it sometime.
That's your clarification that the president's uncle did teach at MIT. Nobody contests that he taught at MIT. What's in contention here, what is unclear, is why Donald Trump said that he taught Ted Kaczynski at MIT when Ted Kaczynski did not attend MIT. Which means and the fact that he wasn't even outed as the Unabomber until 10 years after Donald Trump's uncle died. All of it's a lie. Here's the moment, if you haven't seen it, in Pennsylvania, and know when you're listening to Donald Trump that every bit of this is a lie. So when you watch his face and the surety that he displays, he is rock solid. It's like he's just telling a story. The clarity that he's providing, relay that to other lies that he tells, other things that he tells. So when you see him talk and you're like, well, that seems, yeah, he didn't seem like he's lying. He's always lying. Watch this.
And I have to brag just for a second, because when I first heard about AI, it's not my thing. Although my uncle was at MIT, one of the great professors, 51 years, whatever. He was the longest serving professor in the history of MIT, 3 degrees in nuclear, chemical, and math. That's a smart man. Kaczynski was one of his students. Do you know who Kaczynski was? There's very little difference between a madman and a genius. But Kaczynski, I said, what kind of a student was he, Uncle John, Dr. John Trump? He said, what kind of a student? And he said, seriously good. He said he'd go around correcting everybody, but it didn't work out too well for him. Didn't work out too well, but it's interesting in life. But I will say this, that we have the greatest brains, we have the greatest power.
Uncle John, Dr. John Trump, is that how he refers to his uncle? Hey, Uncle John, Dr. John Trump, do you what the blah, blah, blah. Wild. The other thing that came, there was many things that came up that led to her no good, very bad day, or however the title of that children's book goes. The other thing that's been happening is all the questions, all the controversy surrounding the firestorm around Donald Trump wearing makeup on his hands and his giant cankles that he can barely squeeze into socks and shoes that are being talked about online. He was asked about the questions have been all over the place asking about it. And finally, she gave an answer to what is going on with Donald Trump wearing makeup on his hand and his giant elephant-like cankles. Watch this.
On another note, I know that many in the media have been speculating about bruising on the president's hand and also swelling in the president's legs. So in the effort of transparency, the president wanted me to share a note from his physician with all of you today. In recent weeks, President Trump noted mild swelling in his lower legs. In keeping with routine medical care and out of an abundance of caution, this concern was thoroughly evaluated by the White House Medical Unit. The president underwent a comprehensive examination, including diagnostic vascular studies. Bilateral lower extremity venous Doppler ultrasounds were performed and revealed chronic venous insufficiency, a benign and common condition, particularly in individuals over the age of 70. Importantly, there was no evidence of deep vein thrombosis or arterial disease. Laboratory testing included a complete blood count, comprehensive metabolic panel, coagulation profile, D-dimer, B-type natriuretic peptide, and cardiac biomarkers. All results were within normal limits. An echocardiogram was also performed and confirmed normal cardiac structure and function. No signs of heart failure, renal impairment, or systemic illness were identified. Additionally, recent photos of the president have shown minor bruising on the back of his hand. This is consistent with minor soft tissue irritation from frequent handshaking and the use of aspirin, which is taken as part of a standard cardiovascular prevention regimen. This is a well-known and benign side effect of aspirin therapy. And the president remains in excellent health, which I think all of you witness on a daily basis here. So the president wanted me to share that note with all of you. I'm happy to take further questions on it. We will provide the memorandum from the president's physician to all of you, as we always do.
What is with the Republican Party and not being able to shake hands without incurring just horrible injuries? Nancy Mace gets her hand shaken. My arm is broken, y'all. And then Donald Trump, he's so weak. Well, what happened to our mighty alpha male president? He can't even shake a couple hands without getting his little hand bruised. Come on. Those things don't line up. Look, do I think he is ill? Yeah, I don't think he's well. He's 80. He eats fast food quicker than he can. There's no speed at which he can't shovel it into his face. It's not good, right? Of course he's not healthy. But do I think he's ready to drop dead? Well, I don't know. He's sure trying to cover up something, right? Whenever you watch him answer questions in the Oval Office, this is something I've been talking about for months, that he covers his hand. And he doesn't use you know how he gesticulates wildly constant. He's like me. He talks with his hands, right? But not when he's in the Oval Office. One hand is over the other, covering the other at the desk the entire time. Doesn't move. Not normal. They're covering something up. And therein lies the problem. For me, the problem isn't that he has fat cankles or that he wears makeup on his hand. All of that is, I think it comes with age. Just like a lot of Joe Biden's problems came with age. This is what happens when you elect 80-year-old dudes to be president of the United States. The problem for me lies in the cover-up. The problem for me lies in the lack of transparency, because we are owed a full understanding of the Bill of Health of the President of the United States. The most important position in the country, some would say the world. We are owed this. Donald Trump does not have a right to medical privacy. When you choose to take on this job, you forego that. You surrender that. That's no longer, you're not allowed a private citizen anymore. You have a right to privacy in your medical records. I have a right to privacy in my medical records. The President of the United States of America does not. The President of the United States has less of an expectation to medical privacy than a congressperson. Even Congress people have some more ability to say, hey, this is my private business. Yeah, you're right. You're not president. You don't have the nuke codes. David Pakman, I saw this tweet yesterday when I was looking through all this and finding the pictures and going through it. And he said it pretty well. He tweeted this: Trump's ankles are swollen, his hand is bruised and now covered with makeup. That's not normal. Possible causes: congestive heart failure, IVs, blood thinners. Of course, we have no idea, and this is the most important aspect of this, because the most transparent White House ever won't tell us a thing. And that is also a problem here, that this is hypocrisy. They act like they're the most transparent, free with the information. Even journalists act like, thank you so much for taking our questions. Even though all the questions are answered with lies that it's an entirely different video, an entirely different topic. But we are owed information, and they are not being transparent. Even when Donald Trump, during the first term, everybody thought it was a medical emergency because they rushed him to Walter Reed, and he apparently it was like a colonoscopy or something. He's so afraid of his manliness being questioned that he can't even get a colonoscopy. Very weird. I've had, up to this point, maybe 6 colonoscopies after having cancer. And okay. Does it make me less manly because I have health care? Make it make sense. Anyway, what do you think? I would appreciate your feedback here. You can comment below. That'll help the algorithm to share this content, this channel with new possible subscribers, and that could be your way to help me today. You can also call the voicemail line and leave me a fewer than 3-minute voicemail. Google will cut you off if you go over. Don't call back. Just leave one voicemail. Plan out what you're going to say. It'll be great. 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. I would love to hear from you. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Maybe I'll see you on social media. I'm at Dollemore. You can follow me there. Instagram and TikTok and Blue Sky mainly, Threads. I'm not on Nazi Twitter anymore, but everywhere else, at Dollemore.
I don't know what's in the Epstein files. I do know that the Epstein files are in the custody of the Biden administration. I don't know to what extent they've added or deleted things.
There are still a few Trump loyalists, high priests in the cult of Donald Trump, who are steadfast in defending the dear leader. Now that this letter from the Wall Street Journal has been revealed, where Donald Trump said to Jeffrey Epstein, let me get the quote right. Happy birthday, Jeffrey Epstein, and may every day be another wonderful secret. Ron Johnson was asked about this on CNN. The senator from Wisconsin, Ron Johnson, a dyed-to-the-wool conspiracy theorist, a dipshit. He was asked about this by Jake Tapper, another dipshit. Just dipshit on dipshit action over here, talking about another dipshit. It's the trifecta of dipshittery. And his answer is just remarkable, because when there is no way to actually defend the position that you're taking, you just blame the Democrats. Well, the Democrats have... He's kind of taken the same tack as Donald Trump about the Democrats created this file. We'll get to all of that. Watch Ron Johnson just stumble and bumble and try his best to defend the worshipful dear leader, the supreme leader, Donald Trump, against accusations that he not only wants to have sex with his daughter and sexualizes his children, but he also possibly,
Yeah, but why not release the Epstein files? I mean, this is something that Republicans campaigned on. You said there's something in it that doesn't smell right. It seems pretty obvious that this is causing legislative problems for the president, and him just saying, he's already said everybody should change the subject. This is boring. People who care about this, I don't want your support anymore. You're weaklings. That's not working. Republicans are upset. The base is upset.
So again, I don't know what's in the Epstein files. I do know that the Epstein files are in the custody of the Biden administration. I don't know to what extent they've added or deleted things. It's kind of amazing now. Democrats who did not want them released, now they want them released. So again, I'm a little concerned about chain of custody. I don't know anything about it. I'm as curious as anybody else. I'll let the process play out, but we should not hold $9 billion of spending reduction hostage for a debate over the Epstein files.
Republican Senator Ron Johnson from Wisconsin.
Look, this is just maddening that they're doing this, because look, the problem is they know there's a certain section, a cross section of MAGA world that's just going to lap up this propaganda and regurgitate it. They know that, but it doesn't hold water. None of it holds water For years, Donald Trump acknowledged the Epstein files. For years, Donald Trump promoted the idea that there's this network of child abusers out there in the Democratic Party and elsewhere among the powerful, Hollywood, whatever. He promoted this for years. He talked about releasing the Epstein files, that they need to be released. For years, he promised he would release them when he got into office. But now he says they're fake. Now, not only are they fake, but Obama wrote them, Comey wrote them, Brennan wrote them, Hillary Clinton wrote them, Joe Biden created them. It's a fake hoax, which that would be a crime. So why are they not investigating and bringing charges against Obama and James Comey and Hillary Clinton and John Brennan and Joe Biden? Why are they not seeking prosecution for the crime that he says took place? But Democrats created him, Ron Johnson, and then created a conspiracy theory and a lie about Donald Trump and then didn't release it. What? Then why create it if you're not committed to releasing it? Do I think all of these files should have been released? Yes. And I don't care whose name's on it. If Bill Clinton's name's on it, burn him to the ground. Anybody who abuses children, burn them to the ground. Democrat, Republican, I don't care. You're not going to catch me, or really anybody that I know, saying, well, there's probably an explanation. No, there's not. No, there's not. Not for Donald Trump, not for Bill Clinton, not for Bill Gates. Burn them to the ground if they harmed a child. So the Democrats created it, didn't release it. They didn't release it in 2016, even though Obama created it. They didn't release it in 2016 when Donald Trump was running for president. They didn't release it in 2020 when Donald Trump was running for president. They didn't release it in 2024 when he ran for president again. We couldn't even get around to starting to prosecute the January 6th insurrectionists because we had Merrick Garland. The Democrats are not good at forward-looking strategy. Just not as a party. And we'll get to that in my next video where I talk about Cory Booker and his battle with Chuck Grassley. Democrats are inherently too decent, too hopeful and optimistic about Republicans. I guess I'll leave it there. But this is just absolute nonsense propaganda. First of all, why have thankfully they had Ron Johnson on. It gave me something to talk about today, right? But why are they having Ron Johnson on CNN? Jake Tapper, who has set his attention and his energy toward looking backward at Joe Biden. And here we are, Jake. Is your new book furiously being written? Dipshit.
This is outrageous that you're not allowing senators to have their fair say before a controversial nominee is being done. This is unbelievable. This is unjust. This is wrong.
Republicans in the Senate are absolutely trying to railroad the worst of the worst through of Donald Trump's nominees. This Emil Beauvais III is a vile character, a former lawyer of Donald Trump who has worked now in the Justice Department and told in meetings, allegedly, just told him, yeah, you know what, fuck the courts, fuck the judges. We're not going to listen to them. And yesterday, his nomination was forced through committee, breaking the rules of the committee in such an egregious manner that Democrats just got up and left during the vote. Debate wasn't even over when Chuck Grassley, get off my lawn. I don't know what it is when you turn 95 years old or however old he is. He's in his 90s. He's in his mid to late 90s. That whether you just become the meme, you become the stereotype of a guy who just yells all the time. It's very, very strange. Let me read a couple of paragraphs from this New York Times article first to give you the kind of the lay of the land about who this guy is, this Beauvais guy. And then I'm going to play 2 clips for you. And one, I want you to take away with the thing that I've been screaming about, literally screaming about for months and months and months, about when are Democrats going to stop trying to act like this old political order of my good friend across the aisle and the honorable gentleman or the honorable gentle lady from wherever. We need to stop with this. Republicans are not partners in governance. They are agents of chaos. Anyway, here's the headline from the New York Times. Justice Department leader suggested violating court orders, whistleblower says. Emile Beauvais III, a Trump judicial nominee, voiced his intent to disobey court orders as others stonewalled and misled judges. Mr. Beauvais stressed to all in attendance that the planes need to take off no matter what. This is about the mass deportation effort. According to Mr. Revenese, I have no idea how to pronounce that name, this person's account. Mr. Beauvais then breached the possibility that a court order would enjoin those removals before they could be effectuated. Quote, Beauvais stated that DOJ would need to consider telling the courts, fuck you, and ignore any such order, according to the account. This person, whose name I can't pronounce, perceived that others in the room looked stunned, and he observed awkward, nervous glances among people in the room. Silence overtook the room. This is who Republicans are railroading through the nomination, the confirmation process. This is who they're removing all constitutionally mandated advice and consent and just giving Donald Trump everything he wants, anyone he wants into place. He wants to make this guy who said, fuck the courts, he wants to make this guy a federal judge who will absolutely do Donald Trump's bidding. Here is when the chaos erupted. This is Sheldon Whitehouse from Rhode Island ending his statement, Chuck Grassley immediately going to vote, and Cory Booker objecting. I'm going to play this to give you the flavor for it, and then I'm going to talk about how Democrats are still not ready for this moment, and I hope this will be the moment that changes that. I hope that Cory Booker, who I sat with just weeks ago for almost a half hour, that this will be that moment that opens his eyes, that the old way of doing things is over. Maybe even I'll show you the end of an interview with him where I ask this very question about this very thing and give you his answer. First, though, Chuck Grassley.
I yield back. I will now go to voting because we have competing markups and other committees and people have to leave here soon. We'll go to Beauvais' nomination. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Chairman, point of personal privilege.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, according to Rule 4 of the committee, we have the right to continue to debate this nomination.
No.
I'm invoking Rule 4 of the committee. We have the right to debate this nomination.
You're out of order.
I'm seconding
Mr.
Senator
Chairman.
Booker's demand for a vote on his request to hear from the whistleblower.
Mr. Chairman, you should at least acknowledge my Rule 4 point of order.
You're out of order.
I don't understand this. What are you afraid of about even debating this?
by proxy.
Putting things on the record, hearing from every senator, dear God, that's what our obligations are. It's to state our reasons for debate. At least address the Rule 4 point of order that we're calling. There's no need to rush this. What are we afraid of? We're not pressing for the 2-hour rule like you all did when you were in the minority. We're simply asking for a credible amount of time to air our concerns before the vote. We respect each other in this committee. We respect the understanding that we have things to say. But yet we're doing this in a way that makes no sense to me. And it makes no sense to me because we're not trying to do things like force the committee to close or force a 2-hour rule. This is about understanding that people on this side have a responsibility to state their issues. Mr. Sir, you could call me out of order because this is out of order. This undermines the basic decency of this committee. Yes, maybe overrule a Rule 4, but at least address the Rule 4 point of order that senators were elected to debate issues and debate nominees. This is absolutely insane. What is the rush? Sir, I am interrupting because you're interrupting a regular point of order. At least address my point of order. I have the right to do that by the rules of this committee. If you want to overrule the rules of committee, then do so. But this is not in any way in order. You are obligated to address a point of order according to the rules of this committee. You could overrule me by a Senate vote. You're violating your own rules. The parliamentarian has been clear about this. The parliamentarian has been clear. You could overrule the point of order I'm doing, but you have to follow the precedents and procedures of this committee. This is outrageous that you're not allowing senators to have their fair say before a controversial nominee is being done. This is unbelievable. This is unjust. This is wrong. It is the further deterioration of this committee's integrity. With a person like this, what are you afraid of?
The clerk will call the roll. Get off my lawn, Cory Booker. This went on for several more minutes. I'm not going to play several more minutes of it, but there's like a 40 or a second or a 55 second, a minute or so break, not break, but continuation of the conversation. And then it picked up with Cory Booker. Democrats got up and they left. They're leaving. And Cory Booker continued to appeal to the integrity of Chuck Grassley, of the honor of Chuck Grassley, of the decency of Chuck Grassley, appealing to items of his personality that do not exist. Watch this. Again, there's a timer at the top of the clip. You can scroll through until it's not there, because I do want to show you the exchange that I had face to face with Cory Booker on this exact thing.
Sir, this is wrong, and you know it. You are a person of integrity. How could you be doing this? At least have a vote on my point of order. Sir, with all appeals to your decency, with all appeals to your integrity, with all appeals to past jurisdiction and past precedent, why are you doing this? This is outrageous.
This is a kangaroo court. That's all we have here, Mr. Chairman.
This is wrong. To violate your own rules without going by the mandates of the parliamentarian. This is unbelievable. There's a way to do this. If you want to force this through, if you want to ram this through, there's a way to do it in accordance to the rules as spelled out by the parliamentarian. It is simple. It is clear. There's a pathway to achieve what you're trying to achieve. But sir, this lacks decency. It lacks decorum. It shows that you do not want to simply hear from your colleagues. This is absolutely wrong. And sir, this is to me one of those moments where we are not showing common respect for each other on both sides.
That was a clip of Cory Booker not getting it. Look, I like Cory Booker. I respect Cory Booker. I looked in Cory Booker's eyes, and he's a decent man. He is a man, I believe, of integrity. Has he made some choices I would not have made relative to voting for Charles Kushner and other things? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Being a senator, being a politician of that level, I think is a job nobody would relish. But when are they going to start understanding, I guess to put it crassly, that I'm right and they're wrong? Chuck Grassley does not have an integrity to appeal to. He does not have decency to appeal to. When are they going to get it? Just weeks ago, I sat in a room across a table from Cory Booker, and I talked about this thing, about the old political order no longer existing. The interview was supposed to be over. He finished a question, Packman wrapped it, and I said, wait, I got one more thing. I want to drill down on this thing. And it was about this topic. And his answer left a lot to be desired. I hope the answer that he gave to me weeks ago and the display that you just watched, I hope it would be different tomorrow. That finally Democrats are waking up to the fact that there is no decency in the Republican Party. There is no integrity. There is no honor. Watch this from a couple weeks ago.
And we've got to get back to having leaders that are more concerned with people than parties.
Senator, thank you so much.
I have one more.
Please.
I love all of that.
Yeah.
But listen, we exist in a new political order. The old way of my good friend across the aisle, it doesn't exist anymore. So when is a bridge too far for elected officials to stop advancing the agenda of Donald Trump?
So, look.
Because we want a good partner in governance, and you don't have that now.
Yeah.
We're not governing if you're bending the knee to, not you specifically.
Right. But I want to address that because it has visited upon me. Like, so I'm trying to anonymize this, but there was something really bad happening to Americans working for government abroad. And I was able to reach out to somebody in the Trump administration that's name's not a necessarily household name, but I had that relationship. I'm not stopping him from doing a lot of this stuff, but the fact that this person knows me to be an honorable person and somebody I supported, even though I don't support the president, I was able to get that reversed. And so I hear people oftentimes saying we need moral absolutism. People want that right now. And I am willing to, I just need to tell folks that what we need is the best strategies to deliver results for people. And we may disagree on tactics, but if we start within our party creating this sense of moral absolutism, it's going to hurt our coalition. Because if everybody in your coalition agrees on everything, your coalition is not big enough.
Wasn't the answer I wanted to hear? I really hope, I don't know, we'll have to see, but that if I ask that question today or tomorrow, he said in the beginning of the interview about being a prisoner to hope or something like that, some poetic thing. And I would hope that is not just an easy excuse to get away with continuing to not hold Republicans accountable, because that's what we're seeing. There is no accountability for Republicans. They can act as unhinged as they please, and there's no consequence. Democrats still act as though they are people of integrity. Joe Biden called Mitch McConnell an honorable man. Mitch motherfucking McConnell. He called Kevin McCarthy an honest man just a couple of years ago. No, they're not. Neither of them are either of those things. But it's this old way of thinking about politics. It's the way that existed when I worked for the United States Senate, when Trent Lott was the Senate Majority Leader. And they acted like Strom Thurmond was a good and decent man. When they acted like Robert Byrd was a good and decent man, Democrat, former KKK member. No, certain things that you do in your life are disqualifying. Anyway, I would absolutely enlist your participation in this conversation. Am I being too radical? I will take it under advisement. If I'm the only one who thinks, yeah, there's still a glimmer of hope at the end of the tunnel of Republicans coming back to reality, coming back to decency and integrity, somebody let me know. You can comment below. You can also call the voicemail line 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me, daily@dollemore.com. I know this one went a little long. Thanks for bearing with me. If you're still here, I appreciate you. Follow me on social media if you're still here. I am at Dollemore, and I'll see you next time. Be genuine. Take care of one another.